course. Might as well be talking about the Civil War as far as you're concerned. And for any one of us standing here, it was yesterday. Right? Yep. My gosh, what a day. Of course, the news announcers had it wrong because nobody knew what was going on. Weirdly, a plane has hit the World Trade Center in news. What a bizarre accident. It's not an accident. A second plane has now made impact. Remember that horrific feeling? This was number 3, so this was 9:37 in the morning on September 11th. The plane, and the 4th, you all know, ended up on a field in Pennsylvania where they have a memorial for the incredibly brave souls that, knowing they were going to die, saved countless other people, because we can only conjecture, but the guess was the Capitol or the White House. We'll never know which, but it was probably one of those two. Instead, many lives saved by those brave people that knew that they were forcing the hijackers to crash the plane, and that's what they did. So this was, I believe this is in order, number 3, but 9:37 in the morning, the plane had filled with fuel. It was doing a giant arc to start its trip across the country. It was going a long way, and instead makes this, total detour, this huge arc, step forward just a little out of the shade, just enough to take a quick glance at the Sheraton Hotel beyond the Air Force Memorial. You all see that. Okay, now you get back into the shade because I understand it's much more comfortable. But if you want to take a look at that Air Force, I'll tell you why in a minute. The Air Force Memorial was in the planning stages. Nothing was there yet. Ironically, it's right in the flight line, but it didn't exist yet. What did exist is the hotel. The plane was so low in the sky, it knocked all the antennas off the roof. That tells you something horrible to know, that everybody on board knew they were going to die. Absolutely every single soul that had access to a window. We are way too close. Meanwhile, people down here, of course, knew something is terribly wrong right now. And sure enough, so with full speed, they slammed right into the center section. Pentagon is 5 concentric rings. Nesting barrels. Remember that when we were kids? Okay, so concentric with a huge open courtyard in the middle. The impact was so great that the plane smashed through the first, the outer ring, the second, and the third before erupting into a fireball and shooting flames all the way down the hallway, instantaneously killing anybody in its path. Now you want to hear the miracle? Because there's a miracle that happened that day. This entire wing, 1/5 of 25,000 people, this entire wing was under construction, and therefore everybody that should have been working in this wing was elsewhere in the building or elsewhere in the city. And thank God the terrorists didn't know that. And the reason the terrorists didn't know that is the same reason that they put signs up everywhere that say, do not take photos of this building. If the terrorists had had more photos to study, they would have seen the construction truck, and they would have known that every window in the entire wing was being replaced with darker glass for the sake of security. And that's why there were no people inside there. There were still 184 too many that were killed that day, but it's not the 5,184. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Every single soul has a bench to represent them. In front of you, a brilliant design of a memorial. If you look in front of you, they're configured one of 2 ways. They're either like this or like this. Can you see what I mean? Yeah. The name is written on the end of the bench. If in order to read the name, you have to walk to the end of the bench and you're facing this way, that means they died on the airplane. If on the other hand, you're facing the building, that means they died in the building. Everybody was in the building. Some of them were on the airplane in the building. Everybody died in the same spot, but I love the way they delineated who was in the airplane. The odds are fairly good that the ones facing this way have some sort of military rank in front of them, but it's not a given. There are plenty of civilians that work in the Pentagon, but virtually all of the passengers were without rank, Here's the saddest thing you're gonna hear today. The youngest victim was a 3-year-old little girl. She was traveling with her little sister, her big sister, 8-year-old. Dana and Chloe are the first two, Zoe, are the first two benches you're gonna come to because they're laid out by birth year. So the 3-year-old mark in 1993 right here, and then the next one you see, and so on and so forth. This wall, the cement wall in front of you climbs 1 inch for every year of life. At this point, it's 3 inches tall. The oldest victim is on the far side, 71 inches for his 71 years of life. On the far wall, 1 inch for every single person. And here's to me, the most magical part. I haven't said this yet to either group. All over Washington, D.C., we have reflecting pools. I don't know if you all have noticed that. Yes. The idea of a reflecting pool is they're still. We pause, we reflect, we remember the dead. Every day at 9:37, I can't even say it. Every day at 9:37 a.m. they turn off the pumps that ripple the water, and the water is still for the moment of impact. We pause, we reflect, we remember the dead. This is your opportunity to go out, sit on the benches if you want. You're more than welcome to do that, and come back in a few minutes so that we can get you all gathered to walk over to lunch. Thank you for your attention, everybody.